Thursday of the month. We're having a social gathering. We're having it at the ACCA corporate headquarters in Norwalk. I just sent you all an email, and I have more flyers here which have the directions and everything. It's from 6 to 8 in the evening. But if you could please let me know whether you can come. We hope you can come. Bring spouses, bring friends who you think might be very interested to see our Rotary Club in action. And but I have a flyer here for everybody else. So please come next Thursday from 6 to 8.
Let me just put in a good word for this event. I went about 2 weeks ago now for a tour. This is the greenest building in Connecticut. Super cool technology. It's I think the landscaping was done by you. Is that right? So no self-promotion. It was really beautiful and exquisite art collections too. So it's really a destination to actually experience. So I just want to thank you for it.
Thank you. Any other important announcements? Very well. Awesome. Well, David and I both had a wonderful experience growing up in New Canaan as sons of Rotarians. And Rotary did play a big part inside of our lives. I mean, every Thursday, that's where they were. Almost no exceptions. And the friendships that developed over the ages were really kind of legendary. I mean, just the guys would really look out and care for each other. Obviously, at a certain point, it was only guys. And then things got much better as we ended up spreading out and adding far better organized and much nicer people who tell us when. That's right. Yes. Nancy being one of those who was clearly able to hold her own with some of the some of the more traditional bound prehistoric members. Teach some lessons and give it back to them.
First female president.
And our first female president, which is great. It's great seeing a bunch of, I guess you're never really a former member here of these sort of things, but David Bryant, we got Frank over here, we have the Cluets, we have Doctor, always good seeing you also, Tom, I mean a bunch of other folks who again played a role inside of Rotary over the years, and it's great having everyone come back and still be remembered, and sort of like Cheers, a place where everybody knows your name, although we may not really remember all of your name. But that's a remedy for the guys. And then, again, there's a whole bunch of others, I'll call them now, senior members outside of the group. You know, folks like Leo have been around for more than a couple of years here in South. And we obviously have Skip here, who we got to celebrate his birthday a couple weeks back, 3-4 weeks back or so, 9 years and stuff, and that was just fabulous there. So just thinking back a little bit under the Rotary side, just what it meant to me, and maybe you can throw in any of the other stuff. You're doing good. Dave wanted to hear each of your personal stories. Spend some time with them, give them a hug.
Only if you're a client and it's billable.
So one of the things that was great inside the Rotary is whenever we were traveling, my dad would always go ahead and figure out when Rotary was having their meeting, and he'd attend. And it didn't really matter where we were, he'd go and attend. And that's something which I think we lose a little bit of today about actually reaching out to the other Rotary clubs. But as we know, there's thousands of clubs worldwide, and any place that you are in the world, they happen once a week, and you can go there and you'll be accepted as part of a member and learn some more stuff about the culture. The legendary stories, Sheridan, Wyoming was the most legendary, is they all got up to go ahead and everyone there gets up and they sing, and right at the very end of the song, somebody pulls out a .45 and shoots the person who came from furthest away. It was not my dad. Now, since they're not homicidal, just have a sense of humor, it's a blank. So, those of us out east, we take this kind of humor on this. It was apparently hysterical. Everyone shared it. They loved it.
But it would get your attention.
In addition, we got exposed to the exchange, the Rotary Exchange, and having people come through. We used to have a really close tie with the Austrians. I remember we had when I was much younger, we had an Australian stay with us at one point. I introduced us to chemsticks, which I'd never seen before, way back when. But with the Austrian, it also showed the need for cultural exchange. When, shall I say, one of my less erudite classmates, we were sitting around the pool with a woman who clearly had little difficulty with English. And he ends up asking, so I mean, how are the kangaroos and living down there? and it just shows that Americans, we definitely need to study a little harder on that. That's part of what other parts of our Rotary, of course, is that service above self and doing fundraisers. And over the years, we weren't always a Lobsterfest. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, we had charcoal sales,
Charcoal, yeah,
I mean,
plants,
plants,
trash.
newspaper pickups, I mean, the lobster white elephant sort of things. I mean, it's, you name it, you try to figure the stuff out. And these guys did, and they eventually came across the Lobsterfest, which I think ended up being really fun, and something which hopefully we'll end up with a little tribute to sometime in the not too distant future. In addition, just today, real quickly, we do have the Salvation Army just sort of representing some of the groups that, you know, they'll actually kind of represent groups that we had donated to over the years. They just wanted to come up and say a quick thank you. And for those who didn't know, we've, for the last, forever, plus or minus? Skip, when did we start giving to the Salvation Army at the,
That was Walter Barnes's idea, way back.
so at Christmas time, whenever we collect every Christmas for our gift bag and then exchange really around the tables and now the auction, those all go to the Salvation Army. So if you want to come up for just 2 seconds, that'd be great.
Hello everyone, nice to see some familiar faces from our visit. Mr. Rucci.
Joe.
Joe, thank you. Mike, thank you so much. Carolyn invited us to participate. Thanks to, I have a lot of people to thank, like the Academy Award here. In some of the research that I did, in order to be able to recognize and even come up with a bit of a number, I also found Keith Simpson. Keith, is he here? Keith, and I found Rich Thompson. Is he here? Rich, thank you so much. And Jen, thank you so much. Peter is not with us in AU, but these are folks that are following your footsteps and are continuing to support the Salvation Army. We are at the Norwalk Salvation Army Corps, and again, we had to do some research, but we found that over the past 15 years, and in combination with some of those folks that I mentioned, the club has donated over $14,000 to the Salvation Army. The average gift usually comes around Christmas has been $436. And if you multiply that by 52 years, that's about $22,600 given from you all to the Salvation Army. Now, I want you to make sure you write town where are you? Norwalk Salvation Army on those checks. Because the Salvation Army is pretty big, it gets funneled around. Because we're doing the best that we can there. We're trying to support our community. Just our biggest activity has to do with the provision of food, which is basic needs for people. 1,200 households this past year, over almost 4,000 people, 32,000 pounds of food, which become meals to people from both U.S. Food Rescue, Food Share, Chick-fil-A, other people that donate. And so the support is needed and valuable and reaching thousands of individuals. And so we wanted to say thank you.
Let me just there's something very interesting here. It says, honor those who work hard among you, show them great respect and wholehearted love because of their work. So when I show today respect to all of you that support the Salvation Army, and Mike and Joe especially today, for your work, for your service to this club and the community. So we are delighted to be here today and participate. Thank you very much.
And we'll take a picture later.
And the story of the Salvation Army is again, it's the story of so many different charities around here. I mean, there's been dozens and dozens and dozens, and quite frankly, it's been hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years that this club has contributed, and tens of thousands of hours that have been put in. So again, a tribute toward Rotary. Now, I would be remiss not to go ahead and mention the fact that we do have our Lobsterfest coming up this September. And as always, we're trying to raise the game a little bit. And in raising the game for Lobsterfest, we're trying to go ahead and introduce a couple new mascots to help us out in this. Let's see, are the mascots ready back there? You want to come on out real quickly and give a quick cheer? There we go. Now, for those of you who don't know also the fact that Joe was the legendary lobster cooker. And so Bill ought to be a little careful about this. Don't get too close to this stuff. And my dad has shucked a couple million years of corn. And so both of these things are dangerous positions to be at. And we're looking for volunteers for the entire Lobsterfest for these costumes. Very, thank you very much.
This is not my idea.
I'm ready.
So we did assemble some photos, but again, if you recall, men ran Rotary for a long time, so there are no photos or records. So what we were able to find is a couple of shots here from the past. We'll run up real quick. As soon as John gets up. Anyone know if there's a light switch?
Lights. Wrong one. Oh.
The lights off.
Recollect the actual time. What a great shot.
No. What was that?
1976, New Canaan Bank and Trust Party.
Barely aged at all.
No.
I still have that. Yeah, read that.
There. It's gone.
Rubber gloves, wildly important. You notice little skull marks on the shins.
How many pots would they have going?
4 to 5.
So, was it six or 7?
6 or 7 pots going in one. Santa Joe, who's lovely as elf in waiting, is still here, right?
Is this when you change the rules every year?
Rules? What rules?
I put one down. Give it someone else.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Helping this allow, my dad's teaching this allow about killing corn correctly. That looks like a prize Christmas gift, a metal skeletal horse.
I think everybody's just.
Maybe turn it off the foreground, and take a helper, and then actually be a chef. Yep. Oh. Most prized Star Wars today. The Joe is incognito. His glasses were very important. Didn't want anyone to recognize. Right. Virtual up there. Thomaselli, one of the originals.
John Burns. Ad Thomaselli. Circa what year?
That was one of the originals, correct? Yes. We're just off.
Jenkins, Dr. Jenkins.
This actually caused an international incident when this crowd went over there and Tom led everybody and then promptly ditched the group and they caused all sorts of havoc.
Tom Wildman came up with the idea. His club, he was from the Zurich Club, and they used to meet with both the Bonn, Germany club, and, well, I guess it was Bonn and Zurich used to meet together once a year. And he decided it would be a great idea for us to join them in Europe. And that's what we did, in Nuremberg.
We invited them to come here 1 year.
Yeah, they did come here, it was the year before. Because originally, we were gonna go, I think, that year, and then it got postponed to the following year. But Tom basically put the whole thing together. There was, I believe, was it 17 or 19 of us? I think it was 8 couples and 3 singles.
Carol has the photograph.
Myself was a single because my wife couldn't come because she was a teacher, because this was in late September for Octoberfest, into September, October. So it was.
I thought that Beagle was your
And Rob Pissarro, because he also was married to a teacher. So there were 3 singles and 8 couples, and we had a blast. I mean, it was just really fantastic. And Tom put it all together, and we went. We traveled both in Switzerland and Germany, and the whole idea was to end it in Munich and go to Octoberfest. That's how it actually all started. We went for a hike in Pound Ridge, a number of us, and I said, I've always wanted to go to Octoberfest, and that's all Tom had to hear. He put this whole thing together, and it ended in Octoberfest, and it was a blast. It was actually so much fun. So,
Thank you.
good time.
Elfin training?
Then it became a lot.
That's Leo?
Leo getting something clearly, Jerry.
Figure out what that is.
That was always a challenge.
I was probably re-gifted when I was little.
That's become an heirloom. Okay, Judy. It's fun.
Oh, yeah.
So we typically go through about 1,500 years of corn, plus or minus. And we always have the fun point that sometime on Saturday, we be afraid of or actually run out of corn. Same thing with lobsters, that would cause a huge rush all around Fairfield County. And sometimes we didn't run out, and then we just had a lot of extra. But every year we had the emergency.
And when you say rush around Fairfield County, it meant sending people to every grocery store within 10 miles and buying all the corn they had. Basically, cornering the market on corn. Fairfield County.
We only bought it so we couldn't come in.
You started, Stuart. Once you clean them out, clean everybody else out.
And let's just say that Fairfield County does not have at the supermarkets at 6 o'clock at night a whole lot of lobsters available for the emergency run.
There we go.
The dreaded booze. More creativity. Fall guys.
Well,
Yeah.
So these, both Joe and Mike were both fall guys, honored every year at the Gridiron Club, of which there's many connections to the Rotary. And there you see Mr. Baker and Mr. Wahlberg in the back, and Keith Simpson, who are also fellow Rotarians. And Leo, sorry. Leo's in the foreground, that's what I meant.
Scott's in the back on the right.
He's in the back on the right.
So, Harry DeQ, Franco, Person, Hobbs, Baker, Wahlberg, Rucci, Benko, Simpson, Stewart, Carl.
And Jack Warner.
There's Joe scaring some poor child. Breathing terror into his heart.
Give it back.
What's going on here? Rotary. Is this a fellowship dinner?
I believe it's a birthday party, it said on that slide.
Yep.
80s and 90s?
90s.
90s.
123? 123?
That's Roger Sherman.
Roger Sherman went through a long period with no redecoration, so some of it imprinted on the line. Here we go. Town Councilman Joseph Rucci. Club President Paul Santerre. Reverend Paul is the president.
Is that the same banner?
No, we did replace the banner.
Okay.
During my tenure, it actually fell apart, so we were forced to actually have it.
Mike Sanderson, who was president of Rotary, John Murphy was a member of Rotary, Paul Santerre was our president.
That's right, there was a softball game. I forgot about that.
So if you can't read it in the back, as agile as ever, exchanger Jeff Lucas reaches first base before Rotarian Joe Rucci can nab the ball. Slow pitch softball victory over the Rotary Club Sunday on Dean Marks Mellick Field.
Nobody won that game.
Yeah, it's a victory over the Rotary Club, but yet Rotary out slow.
You can't paper might have done something a little more. Get that fake news off there. There's actually another name in there, Peter Dean and Ed Mellick, a couple
Led
others.
by Peter Dean and Ed Mellick with a pair each of home runs. 5 Rotarians combined for 7 home runs. Lou Annunziato, Mike Hobbs, and Frank Sharp chipped in with 1 apiece.
All right, keep it going.
Ron Von Bachter went the
All right,
route
John,
of the
keep it
mountain.
going. We're on a deadline, keep it going.
And Annunziato did enough.
Cool. Good luck. We're at Main Street in Canaan. As my dad stays active later on in life. Another citizen who was here with us a couple weeks ago.
And this is the last one.
Lodge from our Rotarians. Kirchhoff and Pissarro.
So Kirchhoff, Pissarro, Carl, Wildman, is that Bill, Walter? Laszlo,
There we go.
can't tell. Peter Laycock up there. And that's it.
Joe, would you care to come up and say a couple words? We all knew the answer to that, right?
And I want to thank you all for coming to honor Mike today. Some of you know that Mike and I became friends in kindergarten in Center School. Now, there's one person in this audience that's older than we are and was ahead of us at Center School, and that's Chris Hussey. He's my oldest friend. She'll get me back. My wife Debbie for all her support. There's Sue's here. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize the elf. Also known as Nancy Robinson. Not only was she our first woman president
against her with pizza. But I would play Santa Claus, and she would be the elf. That's how she got the name. And the first year we did this, I told her she had to dress up in a costume. So she comes appropriately attired in an elf outfit, and I came in as I normally.
You dressed as a lawyer.
She's never forgiven me, but she did take me to a Rotary Club in Cooperstown, New York, which is nearby to Buell, New York, where she now lives. Rotary is a fantastic organization. Mike and I have been members for over half a century. I'm active with the Rotary Foundation, and if you look at the ratings of foundations in this country, Rotary is always in the top 10. It's with the good we do, and you all do worldwide. They are, it's very significant. And the friends you make. Every year we go to Florida for 4 months. And who do we see down there? We see Peter Santella's daughter, who we stayed very close to. And Peter's wife, Reggie, is in a nursing home there. Debbie goes over to see her. And I'm still in touch with young Peter. But you make these friendships that just last and last in Rotary. At least that's what I found. Skip, is Skip here?
Right here.
Yeah, he's over here. Skipper!
Hello, how are you, buddy?
Nice to see you. Anyway, I want to thank you all for all the years in Rotary and for this honor. And I'll turn the.
I gotta tell a story. I gotta tell a story.
Tell you what, while Joe makes his way back, Mike makes his way up, we'll hear
I
from
want
you.
to thank, unbeknownst to me, some of my office colleagues who showed up here. I was in the office this morning, nobody said a word. They didn't even tell my dog who was with me. Typical.
Actually, the dog kept the secret.
Yeah, I guess he did, pretty well. And so, Ben, you have something to say?
Well, I've been told to wait.
Well, no, Joe, as you make your way over, he'll tell the story. Mike, why don't you come on up? Go ahead.
Okay.
I want the lawyer to have a rebuttal.
Well, years ago,
Thank you all again. It's great to see you all.
years ago, we got a letter from Red Lobster telling us that they owned the name Lobsterfest. And Joe responded, "Go pound salt." And I don't know if you've seen the news recently, but Red Lobster is going out of business.
I'm very impressed with this. And one more thing. I'm proud of these two folks over there, David and Scott, for their Rotary service, and thank you both.
Yeah.
I tried to think of a couple of things I would like to say, and there are certain things that are almost unbelievable. And the first one is that I enjoyed a 2,500 week relationship with this Rotary Club. If you told me that, I would never believe that possible. Wow. I think my membership resulted in my being a better citizen of the world, the country, and the town. Every week I learned something new. I'm appalled at the state of the world today. I don't like what's going on in this country. The thing that I'm comforted by is that whatever else happens, 1.4 million members of Rotary and 46,000 Rotary clubs in 200 countries around the world trying to make it a better place. Joe touched on this, but every week I read renewed friendships with old friends and acquaintances. And I met new people, and all of them came with a prejudice toward I liked them right away because they were here. And when you start looking at pictures and you see people like Peter Santella, Adolph Tomaselli, there's just no words. 2,500 weeks. If somebody said you could go every week for 2,500 weeks and listen to a speaker and be inspired, informed, educated, entertained, I would have said, no, you can't. You just can't. That's way too many. But it's true. If you get somebody who knows and cares a lot about a subject and is even modestly talented as a public speaker, they can make anything interesting. And I found I learned more about things I knew about New Canaan. I learned about a lot of things I knew nothing about in New Canaan. And then we got into international and national things, and it was just, I look forward to my meeting every week. Years ago, during a conversation, around a luncheon table, it was agreed by those in the conversation that going to a Rotary meeting every week was cheaper and more fun than the same time spent on a psychiatrist's couch. And I hope that all of you are still in that comparison. So thanks to all of you. It's a lovely, lovely event. I really appreciate everybody's efforts. Thank you very much.
And it's also from what I've heard from other people that our club ends up being a special club. There's a lot of irreverence, but the irreverence is mixed with love. And so it's a place that we actually have more fun than a lot of other clubs. Again, we've got unbelievable speakers and connections to different places, and we end up doing a lot of good. So I hope that everyone continues under the membership and has fun with it. And especially for these two gentlemen who have contributed so much to the group. Again, our undying appreciation for getting us to where we are and being hugely important in that. So thank you. We actually have time for a couple of stories if anyone would like to go ahead and feels compelled to speak.
David?
Keith?
I'm very happy to say something about both these wonderful gentlemen. And I would say Mike was extraordinarily generous with his knowledge of the chart. And when I started working in my business, and if I could spend time with Mike, he would tell me all kinds of things which were extraordinarily helpful in a very generous way. And I really, really tremendously appreciate that. So Mike, thank you. And as for Joe, Joe actually opposed so many of the things that I wanted to do in the So I had to listen, and then eventually I had to prevent it. But the best thing I've ever heard Joe say was at the end of David's presidency. He said, I do want everyone to know how tremendously proud I and his mother are of David.
He's meant to say even more proud of Mary Sue, but that's okay.
Not for nothing, David also said that Scott Hobbs was raised by wolves. So so a town like New Canaan doesn't just happen, right? A lot of people have made a lot of very, very good decisions that we have all been able to enjoy for our own lives. And the fact that Joe Rucci and Mike Hobbs are here, represent families I would call the leading families of this town. The Stewarts, the Hobbs, the Ruccis, the Carls, the Francos, families generationally that have done so, Engels, that have done so much for this town. We've all been the beneficiary of that. And the only reason I came up here is because I want to give both of these guys a standing ovation, and I felt like I don't know where to fit in, but I think we all want to as well. So we stand up and give a standing ovation.
I see a microphone, I can't resist, but I really don't know what happened, but probably in the mid-'80s, one of my very best customers was Hobbs Inc., and Mike would come in and periodically say, "You gotta come to Rotary meeting," and I'm like, Rotary sounds like it's for old men, I don't know. He got me to come to a lunch. And in those early years, I joined the club. I was one of the younger members, and I looked up to these guys. Mike and Joe and Pete Santella, Ad Tomaselli, a cast of characters. Mike stole my line because I was going to share that Joe used to explain every week. He was saving money coming to a Rotary meeting because it was cheaper than going to the psychiatrist. So that was very true, and it was repeated many times. But over the years, our club has had some ebbs and flows, always part of Rotary International, always a vibrant club locally with a personality. I visited most of the Rotary clubs in Fairfield County and surrounding areas at one time or another, and internationally, it's really great to visit a club like over in Europe, which we got to do with Tom Wileman. You're treated like royalty, literally, and you're just an average Joe from the U.S., but they treat you like a visiting diplomat. But anyways, our club has always had a uniqueness to it. Really humble, fun, good-humored, but sharing a lot of love. And anytime our club hit a lull, there was times when the economy was tough, and we'd had members having a difficult time paying dues. We had restaurants go out of business on us. We're showing up on a Thursday for lunch, and there's a close sign on the door. And there were times we had meetings to figure out where we're going to move to, how we're going to keep the club going. And these two guys frequently were the leaders of those conversations and really helped keep the club going. So I really appreciate both of them. I've looked up to them for a long time. If they were leading something and they said, "You got to jump here," you really tried to jump that high or higher, and hopefully we each, incentivize and stimulate and encourage each other to do just that. As we go through the year and we do our fundraiser, we've managed to get Lobsterfest producing better and better results, and that's because everyone pitches in and does great work, and it helps us do better in the community, reach more nonprofits, and give more grants and gifts. So just kudos to these two for showing the way. Thank you.
I guess I can wrap it up. So, both Scott and I came here with our fathers. There was a lot of father-sons, I guess, at certain times between Kirchhoffs and Peter Dean came in, and I just remember coming. First of all, my dad was so much nicer at Rotary than he was at home. Totally different. So I did enjoy that hour and a half during Thursdays. But we all looked up, obviously, to our parents, but we also looked up a lot to this club itself. I mean, Mike Hobbs, to me, was just one of these people that was a legend, not only in our family, but to me personally. He just he was so bright, and he was so well read. I remember he told stories about the books and when he would go on vacations, and he would come out and just go through a number of his visits, and I just really appreciated that. It's something I actually miss a little bit here. We don't talk a little bit about. I mean, Rob Fryer talks about climbing Mount Everest. I'm always worried you're gonna drop dead, so I don't know how the story's ever gonna end. So anyway, so I just really appreciated that, and obviously, I've known the Hobbses for a long time as well. I mean, Hazel was my second grade teacher at Center School. So there's always been that real connection between our two families. And then, what can I say about my dad? I mean, he took me under his wing as an attorney, taught me everything I needed to know. I still lean on him today for certain things when I have different things that I need to ask him for. And we have a good relationship. So good that I had to leave his firm at one point. But that's all good. That worked out. It was great. It's really nice that everyone showed up. There's a lot of people here. When I walked in the door, I was surprised to see everybody. Thank you for all coming. Like I said, we're lucky, Scott and I, to have our families around. We're lucky to be a part of this Rotary group, and it's really doing well, even with all the women.
Octoberfest. For those of you who didn't know Kathy Campbell, she had polio as a child, and she was on a crutch, and she didn't move terribly well. Totally independent, tough, really great lady. What we learned immediately upon arriving with Tom as our tour leader was when he said, "Okay, we're going to go," you went, because he left, absolutely left. And by the time we got to Octoberfest, we were all pretty well keyed in, and the way that works is a big center road down the middle and tents on either side. We were down there somewhere, and I was getting a little late, so I said, I think we'll think about leaving. And Kathy said, it takes me a long time, so I'll leave now and I'll go down the end. We had pulled into Munich, driven up to the hotel. Tom said, "Get in that bus and we're going to the Octoberfest." We didn't even know what the name of the hotel was. So we got to Hazel and I were walking along, we got down the end where we said we would meet Kathy. No Kathy. No. So we were standing there, the ugly American, Kathy! Nothing. So finally, feeling horrible, we went back to the hotel. We came down for breakfast in the morning, there she was. And we said, "How did you do that?" I said, "You weren't there." She said, "I was there." And we argued about that. No. So she remembered that the hotel was white. That was it. So she found a pay telephone and dialed German 911 and said, "It's a little odd, but I don't know where I am, I don't know where I'm staying, but the hotel was white." And they got her back there. Very effective.
One more thing about visiting Rotary clubs and other places. I've had the good fortune of attending a Rotary meeting in Bath, England, where everybody stood up and sang "God Save the Queen." And the opposite of that, I went to Rotary on the rim of the Grand Canyon, where everybody was dressed in Western boots and you could have got shot by saying anything. But it really is wonderful, and people are just welcoming and kind, and just like you all. And thank you.
As past presidents, will you guys please go ahead and bring this out tonight?
Oh, you can do it right now.